Welcome to my Greyhawk Shieldlands campaign. This scenario, this series will consist of 3 scenarios set in the 576 common year of the World of Greyhawk Shieldlands area. The campaign is set in the pre-war history of Greyhawk because that's the one I like the most. This was the original unmodified 1983 version as written by Gary Gygax, known as the Gold Box version, right? So here we have a little bit a view of some of the things, some of the miniatures. In 576 Common Year, Lord Homer, the Earl of Wadworth, Knight Commander of the Shieldlands, based out of his headquarters in Munford. So if you look down here, I have a map here that will show you. Down here is Walworth, and there's Munford. So he's the Knight Commander. That's where he's based out of. And our area of campaign is going to be up here by Carapatus. It's going to be right here. Earldom of Renaud, the Earldom of Renaud. That's where we're going to be. At any rate, so based out of his headquarters in Munford, he issued writs of summons to his lords, directing them to muster their households and eligible men for the upcoming campaign season. Contracts of indenture to knights and esquires at arms are to be signed and completed by the end of flock time, which is late spring, maybe early summer, in preparation for the departure to the northern border to suppress incursions being made south by humanoids and robber knights from the bandit kingdom. So over here, if you take a look at this map over here, you have the Shieldlands here. There is White Plume Mountain here. Raynaud is right along that border. And here you can see the bandit kingdoms up here. The bandit kingdoms go all the way down. And there are a bunch of robber knights, and there are a bunch of small petty lords. They usually fight amongst themselves, but they'll come together every once in a while to go into the Shieldlands and Ernst, the county of Ernst. Up here, you also have the Horn Society and Uz. We'll get into more of that later. Here's a better look of Earl of Raynaud. Here's a picture of Carapatus, the White Plume Mountain, and the Dead Knoll's Eye Socket down in the thickets. At any rate, they're assembling to stop the incursions coming southward from the bandit kingdoms and the humanoids from the tangled thickets into Shieldlands. In addition, there also is to collect intel on Uz, which I mentioned earlier, a couple minutes ago, a second ago, possibly conducting a proxy war with those said groups. So although they're not in direct conflict with the Shieldlands, Uz is located up here. The lands of Uz is here. And if you come down to the Shieldlands, so he's working in conjunction with the Horn Society and the Bandit Kingdoms and the humanoids in those areas to directly attack and weaken the Shieldlands. And the Earl of Raynaud has insisted that Uz is behind the incursions and that he and the Bandit Kingdoms have adopted a new tactic to defeat the Shieldlands by raiding and inflicting economic damage to the Shieldlands using scorched earth tactics. They're avoiding open conflict on a large scale with the Shieldland forces, because if one pitched battle was fought, most likely they would lose. The Shieldland Knights are a powerful force, a force of good, and they have other people at their disposal, other knights and lords of the realms of Greyhawk that can be called at any time to come and help with whatever problems they're having. Sir Guilford Raynaud has been ordered to secure the northern border, northeast of Raynaud. Constable York of Walworth was sent northward to observe and report back to the Lord to Lord Homer of what transpires during this campaign. The season starts the first of Wilson and concludes before the Brewfest celebrations in Greyhawk. So over here, we'll go through these miniatures later, but there's Constable York here of Wadworth. He's carrying the banner uh, for the Shieldlands. For this campaign, named knightly classed units. So you look on here, you'll see named Sir Gossett, Sir Jerlig, Sir Hale. You'll see all these knightly noble leaders, so to speak, in these groups. And those are the knightly class units are honor bound to Lord Reynald. Glory is the measure of a knight's greatness. Honor is the quality of a knight's character. And glory without honor for a Shieldland knight is the ultimate humiliation for the knight and his family. So as a result, I also created my own honor point system for this campaign. Each named leader that is a knight can earn honor points based on their actions in each scenario and in each battle that they conduct themselves in. They could also lose honor points by making dishonorable acts. And these honor points can be spent for a variety of benefits, which I'll show you here right now. These are my custom sheets I made for earning honor points. And sorry for the glare on it, but the honor point system measures the knight's virtue, prestige, and battlefield reputation of Shieldland of the Shieldland knights and units. Um, the honor points are gained or lost during the battle and can be spent in the same battle or saved for another uh, either campaign or another scenario, an upcoming scenario. So, for instance, we have like heroic actions per occurrence, right? A knight hero or leader issues and wins a duel or single combat challenge. He gets 2 honor points for that, provided he lives. We'll pick this one. A unit completes an objective while under fire with pins on it. He gets +1 honor points for that, right? So we also have like sacred acts of sacred duty, reflecting hatred of oaths and chivalric oaths. The action would be to destroy a unit aligned with oaths or demonic forces. You get 2 honor points, right? So we have this honor point system in effect, and what you can spend them on down here, I have spending honor points. You may spend. Let me get that glare out of the way. You may spend honor points at key moments to reflect divine flavor, knightly resolve, or battlefield inspiration. So you can use your honor points to do things like, for 1 honor point, you can reroll a field morale check, or remove 1 pin from any knight or hero. Right? You could use 2 honor points. A knight unit gains +1 fight for a single round. So you could use these honor points for different things. So I created this honor system to help with the game's going to have. This is obviously a skirmish war game, but the setting will be the world of Greyhawk role playing AD&D setting, set in that setting, and the role playing. These are what I consider role playing elements that sort of weave in with the rules of the game without unbalancing them. Uh, and that's important, right? So you have to either pick. Is this a skirmish game, skirmish war game, or is this a role playing game? I think you can do a little bit of both. I think with the right flavor and with the right rules, which is what I have here, like with these honor points, you can fill that in uh, and do different things with your characters that you normally wouldn't do in a competitive game, right? So if you want to do one-on-one combat, you can, Sir Cratch can call out a leader or a unit on the other side and then just go at it. They could just go at it, get those honor points, or he can lose. So, I mean, there's good and bad with both. Um, I also made custom priest spells for the priest class for Warlord's Era, and specifically designed for Shieldland clerics of Heronius. So if you go up here, you see Father Abuziel, you have Brother Eliziel, and Brother Azazel, and they are Priest of Heronius. He's a priest, and these are his two supplicants here. The priest has the spells, and he's a level 1 priest. Now, in Warlords of Erewhon, they also have wizards, like a court wizard, like Creed up here, Creed the Mystic. He's a court wizard for the Earl. And you can have spells for them from levels 1 to 3. What I did was I created a spell, the same spell system for clerics, flavored to fit Heronius clerics in 576 Common Year in Greyhawk. And for instance, uh, so basically, the Erroneous is the god of valor and justice and chivalry and righteous war in the Shieldlands. In particular, the knights emphasize defense of the innocent, holding the line, and disciplined courage. And the flavor of the spells for my priest class reflects these knightly virtues. Like, for instance, Shining Steel, Battle Prayers, and Divine Authority. These are not wild miracles, or wild destruction spells like the wizards have, but these are more divine. The priest class, the priest class spells that I've created follow the same rules used for the wizard class, and I can show you a couple of them now. I'll take you over to the sheet. So for my priest spells, for instance, like if you look here, I have like priest spell Shieldland Cleric of Heronius, right? Um, level 1 spells, I have Oath. Here's an example. He's a level 1. So Father Father Abuziel, he's a level 1 cleric, so he's or level 1 priest, so he's using level 1 spells. And here's an example of a level 1 spell. So there's the Oath of the Shield, right? It's a blessing of faith. It's range 12, target 1 friendly unit. Effect until the end of the turn, the target unit gains +1 to fight rolls. The cleric invokes the ancient Shieldland oaths: defend the weak, stand firm, and strike true. Weapons glow faintly as warriors fight with disciplined precision. So he can do that for his turn. If he's within 12 inches of any one of these particular units, he can cast that divine spell upon them, and that unit will reap the benefits of that spell. So I did that. I thought that was so the spells basically, like I said, they also parallel the Warlords of Erewhon's rulebook, and also I also created a weather table to be used prior to each scenario. Leader injury and recovery table I made, and a permanent injury subtable to be used at the end of each battle for each named character that was lost or killed uh, at the end of each scenario. So all these named characters here may not be lost. I have to roll on the injury table and find out if they were killed, if they were captured, if they were taken for ransom. That depends on the evil forces. Gnolls, gnolls generally don't take um, uh, gnolls generally don't take prisoners. They'll just use them for food or slaves or something like that, or they'll use them for other things, let's say. Um, but over here, like you look at like Pack Lord Varric, he's an intelligent humanoid. So he realizes that like these normal, like bowmen and stuff here, they they they're expendable, okay? But these knights, he'll take them ransom. He's smart enough to know that he will take them. Now, if they were fighting undead, for instance, okay, undead would leave nobody behind. Anybody they would just be, if they didn't escape, they were killed. Varric, on the other hand, is an intelligent humanoid, and he realizes the importance of capturing and ransoming nobility, right? They're worth a lot. They'll give a lot in ransom. He can become a very powerful pack lord um, with all that gold. So I have those tables also. Um, I also have so a leader and injury recovery table with a permanent injury subtable to be used at the end of each battle for each named character that was lost or killed at the end of each scenario. So there's a chance that, like I said, the named character in particular, knights and any leaders may recover or reappear in future scenarios or down the line in the campaign. I also created a start of battle random events table to be used with each scenario battle. So there'll be a random event that happens before each battle, and there'll be a roll on the weather table, which I think a lot of people leave that out of their games. Weather affects things, right? It affects movement. It's unpredictable. It affects, especially affects archery units, right? Any archery units, any ranged, you know, uh, and also because we're so close to the White Plume Mountain, Caraptus, the volcano. A lot of environmental things can happen, like earthquakes and different things. So there's going to be all that to come into play. So I'm taking the environment, I'm taking the flavor of Greyhawk, I'm taking the all of that from the Shieldlands 576 kilometer and piling it into this little scenario here. Give a little taste. So if you remember the Shieldlands, if you're an old school gamer like I am, and you remember the Greyhawk, the old Darling Greyhawk maps, and you remember the original folios and box sets, then you'll be familiar with what I'm talking about. Which I want to mention something right now. I want to put a shout out to. Uh, I'm a patron of hers, Ann B. Meyer. Right, she's a fantasy cartographer, and she's regularly on YouTube. um, she's fantastic. She is absolutely fantastic. This woman right here. If you have the chance to go to her site, to go and see what she's done, she's taken the Greyhawk maps to a completely different level. I can't even fathom what she did. I sit there in awe and I look at them. But one of the most fantastic things that she's done was her heraldry for Greyhawk. She took heraldry to a completely different level. And all of my shields on all these characters, right? So here, let me pick this one up. All of this heraldry that you see here, right? Even the flags, even the banners have been done by Anna. This is all Anna's stuff right here, okay? Some of it I made custom. We'll go over that in a minute. Like you'll see some custom markings on some of these shields to reflect first son, second son born, right? And really, she is amazing, and I have to put the shout out to her. Please, if you, I know this is just a fledgling YouTube channel, or uh, my channel is nothing really compared to other people's. But if you get the chance to go to see Ann Anna B. Meyer's website, go to her Patreon, just look up her name, type in her name in Greyhawk, and your whole screen will just fill up with wonderful things. Trust me, she's done a tremendous, tremendous job. Thank you, Anna, for everything. I contacted her a couple times and told her thank you for all the hard work that she's put in. So great, great lady, great work. So the entire series will take place in the northern border of the Shieldlands, right? And in and around the Dead Knoll's Eye Socket. This area here is called the Dead Knoll's Eye Socket because it's from a distance. It's supposed to represent a Knoll's uh, body, its head, its physical attributes, uh, and around White Plume Mountain, which you see right here. White Plume Mountain is better known as Carapatus, is a active volcano. It's known as Carapatus, Keraptis. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not sure. Uh, White Plume Mountain is an active volcano, and as a result, some environmental factors may play a part in each scenario. And during the campaign, Carapatus cast a very long shadow over the whole area. Right, the Yellow River originates in the heated geysers and burbling hot springs of White Plume Mountain. A portion of it forms a river running south. So if you go over here to this little map, you'll see these rivers running south, right? But they're poisonous. They're they're hot springs from White Plume Mountain with sulfurous water and different things. So a portion of those rivers do run south, like I said, but because the water is high sulfur content, river life is sparse outside of settlements, right? So, like if you look here, like the earldom of here, we'll go on this map. If you look here and you see the Earl of, you'll see the earldom of Renaud, and you'll see the walled town of Renaud. You'll see the Dead Eyes Nullsock, and you'll see one. So these rivers run down here, and this is the extent of the farmland that they have. So it's critical for the forces of the Shieldlands to secure this because there's a lot of this. These green pastures here are are a natural resource for this whole region for food, for any towns or villages that are up through here. This is key, and they're raiding into there. That's a big problem. But anyway, these sulfurous, um, so river life is sparse outside of these settlements. So we'll take this over here. We'll put that here. Um, and White Plume Mountain is mineral rich, has mineral rich water, and it created an abnormal outgrowth of thorny bushes for years, known as the twisted thickets, right? No creature larger than a halfling can penetrate the twisted thickets without a machete or some sort of cutting implement, all right? Which makes it a great home for goblins, gnolls, and all kind of humanoids that would like, shifty humanoids that would use that as cover and to do hit and run tactics out of there. It's if you've ever deer hunted and you go into a thicket, you're basically bent over on your knees almost. You're struggling to get through it, but a deer can run through it very easily. That's what we're talking about here. Um, White Plume Mountain is a result of that because of those rivers, those poisonous rivers running there. It's just twisted the natural undergrowth into what is called the twisted thickets. Just south of the White Plume Mountains, a series of buttes. Okay, the buttes are what I said. They're known as the Dead Knoll's Eye Socket. If you're not familiar with the term butte, think of the old western flat topped mountains in the desert that are like a reddish brown, and they're flat topped. And there'll be a series of them. You'll see them out there when I put some of the terrain out for each game. In addition to all the above, all that I spoke of, there's also a local legend about a Draco Lich named Dragotha, which supposedly makes its lair just west of White Plume Mountain. Okay, there's a little background in the area, but not to give you too much away for future scenarios. So there may be a Draco Lich involved with some of the things going on as well. Stories of adventure who left to seek. There's a whole kind of adventurers who left to seek out the Draco Lich's, the undead dragon's lair, and of course they never returned. And there's also supposedly some maps that have been found, but they've never been physically recovered to be of any use to anybody or to check for authenticity. And no one's witnessed such a creature in recent history, so claims of its presence is remains sort of unsubstantiated. So they don't know. There's rumors of this dragon. Well, of course, dragons sleep a long time, right? So anyway, so our first scenario is called the Bells of Redwater. It's a small village on the borderlands of the Shieldlands, which has fallen to a marauding band of gnolls, known as the Blood Moon gnolls, as you can see here. Right? Uh, they're led by the Pack Lord Varric and Varric the Red Eyed. He was drawn there. He was drawn by the last full moon. The gnolls drawn there by a prophecy made by Imor the Desecrator, the shaman, and that they were all the whole unit, the whole group was drawn. Varric's pack was drawn by the last full moon. The gnolls had come into the village in town and swept through the settlement, slaughtering livestock and capturing villages. So what remains is the surviving townsfolk have barricaded themselves in a church, a squat stone structure on the village's north side of the village. The gnolls have surrounded the church and preparing to break in, intending to drag the villagers off as slaves, or to use them as sacrifices, or to use them for other purposes. Uh, the troll, or the a patrol of Shieldland Knights, returning from a scouting mission under the command of His Eminence Sir Guilford Reynold, the Earl of Reynold, finds the village smoking in the distance. With no time to rally, the entire force of the knights, what is there, must ride and liberate Redwater before the Blood Moon gnolls, reach the church doors and get the villages and take them hostage. For For the first scenario, we'll be using 1,000 points worth of each army, roughly 1,000 points. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less, of knights and gnolls, and that's pretty much it. And I'll put the forces together. I'll put the table together, and that it will get started with introduction of the units, and then we will set them up, and then we'll start turn one. Hope you enjoy. Thanks. Take care. Hey, we are introducing the belligerents in this first scenario, and the Bells of Redwater scenario. For starters, we're going to have, starting with the Warlord, we have Pack Lord uh, Varric. He has a big axe, which gives him a strike value of 2, and light armor, giving him resistance of 7 and 8. 7 is if his armor wouldn't count against an attack, if it would circumvent his armor, and 8 under normal circumstances. His special abilities are he's tough 3, he has command, follow, and 3. He rolls 3 dice when for hand to hand, and he also has wound 2. Accompanying him are his 2. They're not bodyguards, but they're attendants. Their 2 bodyguards, their attendants also have big axes that gives them a strike value of 2 with no special abilities. Next up, we have Imor, the Desecrator, Shaman, right? And his 4 hyena spirit guides. Imor is a level 1 shaman. He's armed with an axe. He's tough 2 and wound 1. The 4 spirit hyenas are strength 6, resistance 6, with spirit, 1 hand to hand, with a strike value of 1. And they also do an exchange of missiles, strike value 1, which they just sort of cast like a plasmatic bolt of some sort, or a ectoplasm from them during their missiles, the exchange of missiles. Okay, and then we will go on to the Gnoll Champion up here. You see the Gnoll Champion here? Igmar the Face Ripper. He likes to tear people's faces off. He's armed with the big axe, as you can see. Strike value gives him a strike value of 2, and he also has light armor, giving him a resistance of 7 and 8. 7/8. His upgrades give him tough 3, I believe it is. I have to double check, but I think it's tough 3. He has hero. He has 3 hand-to-hand attacks, and he is also wound 3. Another tough hombre right there. Next, we have 2 units of Gnoll warriors. Okay, so we have, once again, we're going to go back to it. We have 1 unit of 7 that includes the Gnoll Packmaster, who has with tough 1. And then we have the other 6 gnolls have axes, and the entire unit is lightly armored, giving the unit a resistance of 7 and 8. Over here, we have a unit of 6 that includes the Packmaster, who is tough 1, and the 5 Nords are armed with swords, and the whole unit is lightly armored uh, for a 7/8 resistance on them. Then we have 2 identical archer units, no archer units, of 5 each. They each have, of course, a Packmaster that's tough 1, so each Packmaster is tough 1. And they have been upgraded, instead of daggers to swords instead of daggers, and they have normal bows, but they're all just normal bows, not long bows. And lastly, we have a Gnoll tracker unit, right? Here he is up there. He's a tracker unit with 6 hyenas. The tracker has a chain mace, giving him a strike value of +1 and armor +1. He also has tough 1. He has rapid, and he has rapid sprint and woodsman. The hyenas are one hand-to-hand strike value of one. They're savage. They also have rapid sprint and woodsman. He's going to be kind of tough to kill, and they can get around on the table pretty good, pretty fast. Okay, and then we're going to go over here to the Shieldland Knights. And first up is His Eminence Sir Guilford Reynold, Earl of Reynold. He's in the middle here. He's mounted. He's a mounted warlord with a sword, heavy armor, and giving him a resistance of 6/9, and a warhorse replacing his normal steed that cancels out his heavy laden rule. If you're wearing heavy armor, you get the heavy laden rule. But if you take a warhorse, it eliminates the heavy laden, which affects his movement and such. Uh, So it's basically heavy laden. All gives you a no sprint rule, but because he took a war horse instead of a light horse, that changed that takes that penalty away for wearing heavy armor. His specials are tough too. He has command, follow. He's fast 8 because he's on horseback. He also is 3 hand to hand, and he's wound 2. Uh, Up next is Guilford's first son, his noble lordship Sir Gosling Reynold, Viscount. And as you can see by the on his shield, it is marked differently than his father's, and he has they're all on. Uh, you have him. You have his second son, Sir Nodfrey Reynold, and 2 attending knights. You have Sir Ulick, Marshal of Greyhawk, and Constable York of Walworth. Right, the entire unit is on. They're all on war horses. They're all heavily. They're armed with lances in addition to their swords, and the entire unit has zealous as well. And lances can only be used. I use lances. You can only use the lances once in a successful charge. If that charge is successful, the lance would break because you're basically burying it in another in the opponent. In short, if they hit with the lance, it's broken. The war horses that they're on also get an attack of one hand to hand with a strike value of 1, and that's he is our basically would be called the warlord, or he would be the leader. He's the leader of the entire force actually. So next up we have Father Obuzo. Obuzo. He is a priest, a first level priest. He's called Father Obuzo, the Scepter of Heronius, and his 2 supplicants, Brother Eziel and Brother Eliziel. He has command, divine intervention, wound 2, and he's insufferably sanctimonious, making him, that's what makes him tough too. I'm also introducing, like I said, the priest spells for this campaign as well for Warlords Era 1, which I went over earlier. You can take a look at that. And basically, what it is they're not priest spells, they're priest invocations. And they're for first through third level priests. Father Abuzio is first level, so he'll be using the first level incantations. Next, we have 4 mounted knights on war horses. We have Sir Cratch, Sir Ripert, Sir William, and Sir Arnold on war horses with swords and heavy armor. He is the leader, and all have lances in addition to the swords for the unit. The unit is zealous as well, so the entire unit was purchased the zealous rule for them. And there is one leader. I'm sorry. There's the leader is Sir Cratch of Furiandy. Then you have Sir Arnold of Knights of the Watch, Sir Ripert of Onwall, and Sir Williams of Onwall and Jensel, as you can see there. They are also uh, given lances as well. With all swords give strike value 1 and strength 1. And of course, the lances will give you on a charge a strike value of 3, which is quite powerful. Uh, we have 2 units of foot knights with swords and with let's see, we have the 2 units with swords. They have heavy armor and they're zealous as well. Sir Gossett of East Fork is in charge of this unit, and Sir Hodwis of Valuna is in charge of that unit. Both, once again, swords and maces give a strike 1 value and a +1 to strength. Then we have next up, we'll go to our archers, I believe. We have an archer unit that's here up in the front, led by Yeoman Odo. They have 10 men in this unit. They've been upgraded with longbows. Sergeant leaders in this, the sergeant leader, Sergeant Yeoman Odo he is tough 1, and this unit has the Deadeye trait. That's that archery unit, and then we have 2 units of peasants. We have this one led by Yeoman Utha, and we have this one led by Yeoman Hod. Yeoman Hod's unit of 5 is armed with glaives, and Yeoman Utha's 10-man unit is armed with long spears. And I'll go over some of the characteristics of the weapons, and as we play, the difference between like long spears and glaives and what they do in battle. Swords, chain maces, and swords are basically the same, but of course, longbows, as opposed to normal bows, which the gnolls have. There's differences in ranges and different things, but pretty much we'll go over that whenever we do it. So here is the forces to be fighting them, or going into the scenario. We have roughly about 1,018 points of knights and roughly 1,065 points of, 988 points of gnolls. And we'll kick it off with round 1 here in a moment. All right. Hello again. This is going to be the beginnings of round 1. We're going to go over the scenario again, the Bells of Redwater. Basically, there's no force over here. They've captured what was left of the villagers, the village leadership, and the village leadership has fled to this church. They're inside the church. They've barricaded themselves inside to prevent being captured by Pack Lord Varric and his minions. And the Shieldland Knights have to rescue them out of the church. The scenario, you can see the deployment of the gnolls. The gnolls are going to be within 1 movement length. They're basically 5 inches from this table edge. And on this side, the knights will come in, but they'll come in as we pull dice out of the bag, order dice out of the bag. And they have to run in or they have to advance onto the battlefield. So yeah, once again, the deployment for the gnolls are within 5 of that table edge over there to the north. So there's just a couple special rules with this scenario. One of which is the church doors. The church doors have 6 structure points. At the start of each gnoll turn, one designated gnoll unit may attempt to break them, and there's conditions how they can attempt to do that. So I'll roll d6 for each model that's within 1 inch of the doors, of the front doors, and every five or plus, five or more, five or six removes one structure point. At 0 points, the doors burst open, right? And inside the church, there would be a single objective to represent all uh, of the villagers. The token doesn't move on its own. Uh, a null unit can spend a full activation in contact with the token to seize it. Once it's seized, the token is considered carried by that unit. It could be carried by the gnolls. It can be carried by the knights as well. If that unit who's carrying is destroyed, that unit drops the token where it fell, where they're at, right? Um, the first time there's a rule called Nightly Resolve, and the first time a Shieldland unit fails a morale check, it can re-roll. It may re-roll once per game. So the Knights get a free re-roll because they're rescuing these people out of the church, and that represents the urgency of getting the villagers to safety before they become null food. Now the Blood Moon gnolls have a special role as well. It's called Blood Moon Frenzy, and that is that once the church doors are reduced to 2 structure points or fewer, all null units gain +1 to advance and run orders, and +1 melee attacks on the turn that they charge. So the gnolls get all frenzied, uh, Blood Moon frenzied up when if they're able to, they see the end of their mission of breaking through these doors and securing the villagers. They go into frenzy. So the victory conditions for the Shieldland Knights are this: it's a major victory to prevent the church doors from being breached, or keep the villager token inside the church or in nightly control by game's end, and rout the gnolls. So they got to get the token or keep it in there. They have to either have the token or keep the token in the church in their control and rout the gnolls. That's a major victory. Or, of course, if they prevent the church doors from being breached, that's also a major victory for them. A minor victory for the knights would be if the doors are breached, but the gnolls never move the token off the table. The Blood Moon gnolls victory conditions are, for them, a major victory is seize the villager token, and escort it off the table edge, their table edge. A minor victory for them is to break the Shieldland warband before the knights can secure the church. So that's 2 things there. Now, for the the Desecrator, and for Father Abuziel, I have taken 2. I have taken their spells for this scenario, and I'll lay them out here in just a second here. So for Father Abuziel took Bolt of Righteous Fury. It's casting value 7. It's Sacred Light. It's a divine evocation. It's range 20. Target 1 enemy model. The effect is inflict 1 auto hit at D3 plus 1 strike value plus magic level. Unit must take a break test. Basically, he launches a flash of silver blue force, manifests as a spectral spear or sword. And it's hurled by Heronius' judgment towards that particular model. So for Father Abuziel, that's his spell he took for the game. He can cast that whenever it's his turn. For the gnolls, for the shaman took an old classic we're all familiar with. If I can find it here, give me a moment. I will find it. He took the old classic of a lightning bolt, right? Lightning bolt, casting value 7. The wizard calls down a lightning bolt of 5 billion jewel energy to 1 unlucky model. Now this one's range 30, which is pretty nice. It targets one unit and one model within it. It's similar to it's similar to the Bolt of Righteousness, uh, with a different flavor and a different range. It has the same effect. It's a magic missile. It's one hit, strike value D3 plus magic level. Unit must make a break test too when getting struck by a lightning bolt. So break tests are really important in this game. They can make or break. If a unit breaks, if a unit becomes routed as a result of a break test, somebody's going to have to rally that unit or they're off the table. So that matters quite a bit. Uh, and with that, we have our order bag here with all of our dice inside. And we're going to kick it off by, let's see if I forgot anything. Oh, yeah, I did forget something. The weather effects were rolled. I have a weather effects table here. I'll bring this over here. I have a weather effects table here. And we had neutral conditions, which the weather offers no special effect. And for the starting events, we didn't have any starting events. We had clear skies, calm winds. Nothing unusual, and the battle proceeds as normal. So I rolled on those prior to, um, which I rolled off screen prior to that, prior to this. So at any rate, let's get this going. Let's see what we got. First order die is the Knolls. So who's going to do what? Let's go take a look over here at the Knolls. We got our Knolls over here. Well, I think what I'm going to start to do is knowing how important it is to get into the church, right? So we're going to move. We are going to move our. Let me get my movement stick. So everything in the game, everything in Warlords of Erewhon moves 5, unless specified otherwise. For instance, the Earl and his war horses and his knights, they're fast 8. They move a normal. If they took this order dice and they were just to advance, right, and advance, they advance for 8. Every other, that's because of the special rule for them, and each unit has special rules. So but most units move 5 when they advance. If you run, you'll run, of course, double, and then there's also a sprint in this game as well. And sprint is 3 times. Now some of them have fast sprint, like we have the Knoll Tracker over there. I think he's fast sprint. I'll double check when we get to him. But for now, these Knolls here, these archers are going to move up. Let's see if I get them on here. On film here, we got, okay. So they're going to move double. They're going to run, so they're going to move 10. And these Knolls are going to move up here, and they're just going to provide a certain level of cover for any units coming close or any of their melee units to move up. And then you take the order die and you put run. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's a very elegant system. I like Warlords of Erewhon quite a bit. And while we're here, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab our bag. Next up, Knolls again. All right. And with that, we're going to have this unit of Knoll warriors right here. This unit here, they're going to move up. They're going to flank. They're going to flank the archers, and they also get a 5 move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Pardon me. And they're going to move up, and they're going to come up to here. And each unit has to be outside of an inch of one another, or within it, like outside of there has to be at least a 1-inch gap between forces, between units. And they run up. Okay, and now we're going to get the bag. And we get, okay, the knights. All right, finally we get some knights out here. Shieldland Knights, they're going to get these guys out of the church, or it's going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly for them. So with that, I think what we're going to do, we're going to bring in, for honor and glory, Earl Guilford himself. Now I'll pull his stat card that I made. I made my own custom stat cards, right? And I got to find my rule. It's over here. Oh, there it is. Okay, Sir Guilford of Raynald, he's coming on, and I made these little stat cards, and he has fast 8. Okay, he's fast 8, as you can see here, fast 8, and he's going to run on. So normally they move 8 on horseback because they're on war horses. He is going to move 16 onto the table because he's going to run on. And they have war horses, and what war horses do, if they were on a regular riding horse, they would have the heavily laden because they're wearing heavy armor, right? They would have the heavy laden rule upon them, but war horses remove the heavy laden uh, stat on them, so that just gets rid of that. So it cancels out the no sprint rule for heavily laden. There's a no sprint rule if you're heavily laden. Of course, it's carrying all the weight, but with them having war horses, we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to bring them on 16 inches from the table edge. Where is he at? Here he is, Earl Guilford himself. He's going straight up the gut for honor and glory. He's going to get some knoll. He's going to get some knolls on his lance. There's the Earl. Here is his first son, Lord Goslin, Viscount, and then we are going to have Sir Nodfrey, his second son. As you can see by the shields, to indicate their birth order, right? I took that out of old medieval heraldry. Okay, and then we're going to bring up Sir Ulick, the Marshal of Greyhawk, a Marshal of Greyhawk. He's gonna take up the left on this unit, and then we are going to bring up Sir York, the Constable of Walworth. As you can see here, he's carrying the banner, which doesn't give anything in particular, doesn't give anything but make them feel good carrying the banner. And they took a run order to get onto the table, and that's that. Next unit, get the bag. And it is Knights again. So it's not to allow Sir Guilford to have all the honor, right? We're going to bring in, I think what we're going to do is, I think for this, we'll bring in Sir Cratch's unit. Sir Cratch. He's going to come on with his 3 knights. And I think he's going to take up a flanking position on the Earl. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put Earl's card on for everybody so you can keep an eye on that. And then we're going to bring Sir Cratch in. He's going to run up 16. So basically, we're just going straight across here, right? We're going to put an inch in between them, and they can vie off as they see fit. But the Knolls are looking here, and they're probably thinking, "What? This is ugly, right? This doesn't look good." You see these guys with like what they would call in uh, Kings of War a thunderous charge, right? Coming onto the table, they're out for blood, right? So yeah, we have Sir Cratch of Furiandy. We have Sir Ripert of Onwall. We have Sir Arnold, a Knight of the Watch, and we have Sir William of Gensel right here, running onto the field of glory. Back to the bag. Okay, we're jumping over here to the Knolls again. Let's take a look. What are we going to do here? We got these huge pile of knights coming up here. I think we're going to have this. I think we're going to have to put. I think we're going to move up some more archers just in case. We're going to move this unit of archers up 10. Mark these guys off here. Get into the fight, fellas. It's time. Ten, Okay, they took a run order. Let me see. I'll get these over here so everybody can see where exactly they're at. They're right there by the church. They took a run order. All right, let me grab the bag. See what we got next. Knights. Knights. Let's go over here. Got to move the camera around. Sorry. We are going to get. I think we're going to bring the archers in. I think the. I think we're going to bring the archers in. We're going to bring them in. I think we're going to bring them in on the Earl Guilford's left flank. There's 10 of them. They're going to be Yeoman Odo's longbowmen. These are longbowmen, so they're a little bit different than normal archers. So we'll bring these guys out. 8 beer 16. Or no, these guys moved. They're 10. They're running on in 10. Movement of 5 each. So they're not going to be as far out as the knights. Obviously, they're not on horseback. So I'm spacing these out in such a way because in Warlords of Erewhon, you have to be able to. You cannot see through other models, right? Especially for archery or for missile fire. So you need to have a clear line of sight through and through. So that's why I'm moving these. I'm making the space in between here so that their archery, all of these archers will have a clear line of sight towards uh, whatever they want to shoot at up in the front. Otherwise, just the front rank would be able to shoot, or shoot their buddy behind the head. That would be horrific, but you know. And as they spread out, it's a little bit more difficult for other units to come on. So we'll take a better look at them because I can see that this is not. So we brought them in. We brought Yeoman Odo's longbowman. And what we'll do right now is, matter of fact, we'll go over here with that. And we will put his marker down, Yeoman Odo's, on the table. We'll go to the bag. Okay, back to the knolls. Let's go take a look. And I think what we're going to do over here is we're going to bring. I think what we're going to do, we're going to bring the. I think we're going to bring these warriors up to the front. These guys up to the front. They're going to move 10, get in position to get something done. So we'll go these 5. They'll come over here, looking about right there. Here. These guys run up. It's going to be an ugly second round, I'll tell you that. Okay. Grab the bag real quick. What do we got here? Okay, we go back to the knights. Let's see what we got over here. Let's take a look. See at our knights. We'll move this back. Get a better view of this deployment. Okay, so we're going to go with, let's see who we got here. I think we're going to go with Sir Hodwis's foot knights. The knights are leading the way. They're like, you know what? The knights are leading the way. Sir Hodwis and his crew is coming in, and they're going to get into things here. You gotta. Everybody wants that glory, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to get a little bit of that taste of the battle, right? Not all these knights are gonna survive. I'll tell you that. So we'll do that. Sir Hodwis, we'll put him in the back. Sir Hodwis is a he's a knight right here, as you can see. Valuna, his heraldry. We'll stick him here, and we'll give his crew a run order for coming on. Sir Hodwis is on the table. All right. Go again. Okay, we go back to the pretty even so far, with the exception of a few things. Let's take a close look here. I think we're going to go with these knoll trackers over here. They're out here in the field, the hyenas, right? And they have, let me grab their stat card real quick because they're very, very fast. And they are, let's see here, they have the knoll trackers. So the knoll trackers are tough. They have rapid sprint, which means they sprint 4 times. They have woodsman. Okay, woodsman is they get +1 cover bonus if within wooded cover. They treat rough wooded terrain as open ground, so they can run through those hedges with no problem, right? They have a chain mace, a strike value 1. Enemy armor only counts as for a +1 maximum. So what that means is, if you're using the chain mace, he's using a chain mace. So if you have if you have a knight that has an armor, let's say 6-9, right, because of heavy armor, you can only gain 1 bonus higher and no more. So he would be a 6-7 instead of a 6-9 if he's using his chain mace on a knight, like in heavy armor, as an example, right? And the hyenas, their strike value 1, they're savage, which reroll all misses the first time the unit fights close combat during the game. So they're savage. They just rush in and just want to rip things apart in the in the first time the unit does close fighting. Uh, They also have rapid sprint and woodsman to accompany the knoll tracker. So the knoll tracker, he can sprint. He's going. If rapid sprint is so that rapid sprint gives him four movement rather than 3 movement when he's sprinting. So he's going to move 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20. He's moving 20 inches with those hyenas. So him and the dogs are on the run. The pack's loose. Who let the dogs out? Well, let's see. 20 inches is going to get them. Let's see. So getting him past this. Let's take a better look here. Just get a little bit better view. 20 inches will get them. This hyena will put them all the way out here. 20 inches in the hedges, right? That's pretty good. And these other ones are going to go to the back. He can move 20 inches. The pack master. He's going to move out here, and then we're just going to punch in the rest of these hyenas, man. They're coming through. They're snarling, salivating. They can taste the blood. They can taste the blood. That's a run order. Now, here's the thing, okay? Here's how this works as well. They have to make I'll have to double check it real quick. But when you sprint, you have to make a roll to not take a pin and exhaust yourself, right? So what they got to do is um, uh, they have to test their agility. They have to roll their agility or under with a D10, okay? And uh, their agility is a. Let's take a quick look here. They have an agility. The null tracker has an agility of 5, so they need to roll a 5 or under, right, on a D10. So let's come over here to the dice tray, and a 10. They failed miserably, right? So basically, they have to, if they fail, they're going to suffer 1 pin. So that unit takes a pin because they exhausted themselves. Sprint's useful. I mean, most of the time the agility's pretty high, but they take a pin, which is not good, but it's not super bad either. They moved quite a bit. They moved 20 inches. That's pretty good. All right, back to the bag. Who's up? And we got a Knights. The Knights are up. Who is coming on next? Who is going to come on next? Let's go over here and take a look. And I think what I'm going to do is, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, to be honest with you. Let's take a look here and see what we got. All right, let's see who we got left. We have, oh, we got quite a bit. We're going to bring up Sir Gossett's unit. I think Gossett's unit's going to come in, and they are going to offer some backup. You know what? I think Father Obuzio's coming on with his supplicants. I think he's coming on. I think he's going to offer some prayers and some righteous bolts. So here he is in the flesh, Beta, and his 2 supplicants, Brother Azaziel and Brother Eliziel. And they are here to offer support. And Father Obuzio, a cleric of Heronius, is on the table. All right, let's see what we got next. Who's up? Knights again. Shield Knights are on a roll. Okay, let's see what we got going on. I think we're going to bring up another Knight unit. Let's see. I think we'll bring a Knight unit over here. I think we're going to bring in Sir Gossett's unit, and we'll bring them in over here next to. We'll bring them in here right next to this hedgerow. So let's get Sir Gossett over here with his crew. Needs some knightly support on this side of the table. So we got Sir Gossett's crew coming in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they come in on a run order. Let me see here real quick. Sir Gossett of East Fork. We're going to put him in the back. Where's he at? Here he is. We'll put him here. Sir Gossett of East Fork. East Fork's heraldry looks like that. A Shieldland Knight. He's on the run. They're good. They get his markers so everybody can keep track of what knights. Because like I said, if any of these knights are killed, any of these named characters are killed, I have a special table I roll on at the end of the scenario, whether they're wounded, captured, dead, recovering, and that sort of thing, so we can still see them again come up in future scenarios in this campaign. Next die, we got Knowles. Let's see what we got going on with the Knowles. Head on back over. I think what we're going to do here is we got Ignar, the Face Ripper. We got the Knoll Champion here. He's just, he wants to get into it. He wants to get something done. So Ignar is going to run up. He's going to sneak on this side of the building. He wants to get involved. He got some faces he wants to rip. So what we're going to do is we'll put him here behind here. And gave him a run order. And he is good to go. He's ready. Knolls are bred for one thing: war. War and death. All right. Next order die. Knights again. Going back to the knights. And I think the only two units we have left are the yeoman units. We have a unit of spearmen and we have a unit of glaives. And I think what we're going to do is, it's getting a little tight here for them for their deployment. So I think what I might do is see if I can squeeze them in up here. Let's take a look and see if I can squeeze them in here. I think I'm going to bring in Yeoman Hod's glaives. We'll bring them in. They're going to come on. They're going to run on to 10. They're up here. I'll just have to pile them in like this. I won't be able to keep them in a formation. The good thing about Warlords of Erewhon is if one figure in a unit can reach one figure in the unit that you're attacking, all the figures fight. So they just basically all pile in as long as one can reach one, and they all fight together. So we have Yeoman Hod's glaives on the table. They want glory and honor as well. They don't want to be left out. We'll get them in there. We'll see what happens. It's going to be good. It's going to be a great bloody fight. Next up, Knowles. I'm going back and forth here. Okay, let's go over here. And I think this unit here of Knoll Warriors, they see what's going on. They see the knights down there. They see these knights coming in. They see the archers. They're like, nah, we're going to get in on this. We went in on this action. They're going to move up 10. Let's go, people. Get into the fight. Let's roll. 10. All right, and I can just judge the rest of these. Keep that unit together. Each figure has to be within 1 inch. It's a typical rule you see in all of your skirmish games. All of the skirmish games, the same thing. A minimum of 1 inch gap. There has to be at least a 1 inch gap between units, and then they have to be within 1 inch of another unit, another figure in the unit. So that's how that works. All right, let's go over here. Grab yon bag. Okay, knights. And this is our last unit of the knights coming on. And for this, we are going to bring in, who's left? Oh, Yeoman Utha's. Yeoman Utha is going to bring in his spearmen. So let's get this set up here real quick. Camera so don't make anybody sick spinning stuff around. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to bring the spearmen at. I might bring them in on the far side of this table here. Let me see. Tactically, what would be best? So let's take a look. I think we're getting a little crowded here, and I think if they come in, they're going to have to be piled. They'd have to pile in here. And I don't know if I want them all bunched together, but I want to keep them in command radius. So maybe I will bring them in there. This may not be a great idea, but we're going to do it. We're going to bring in Uther's spearmen, but I got to keep them within an inch. So we'll bring them in column form maybe for now. 1, 2, because there's 10 of them. There's a lot. They're going to run onto the table. Let's go here. 7, 8. Let me just put this down here. So make this a little bit easier. We'll put them in column form marching on. Give them a run order. And get the rest of these guys in here. Utha's spearmen. Spears, long spear. I think there's long spearmen. I'll have to get the card out. Look, long spears will eliminate the bonus that a unit would get from a charge. That's basically what it is. All right, that concludes. That's all the knights. So there's only, I think, 1 or 2, maybe. He didn't go over there. We got 2. The last 2 that haven't gone yet are um, the last two over here is Imor the Desecrator, and we have the Pack Lord himself, Varric. So let's pull. Let's go over here first because they're only two. They're only going to be the only two left in the bag, and we're going to take out the Null. Imor. Imor's going to move up 10. You know what? I don't think he's going to move up. I think he's just going to advance 5. I think he's just. I think he's. I don't. You know, he wants to stay. You know what I might do? Let's go. Let's put him over this way. Let's have him back up the archers and the this unit here. Let's take him. Let's put him here. Let's move him 10 over to here. Let's move the hyenas up first. 10, 10, 10, 10. And then Imor is going to come up, and he's going to go right here. Inward aggressive bitter. They run up here. He gets take a little bit of cover behind that building. He doesn't want to get hit in the face. He can handle his own. So we'll go over some of his special things that he can do as well. And then last but not least, we get the bag. And there's only one order die left. And of course, that is for the Pack Lord Varric, the Red Eye. He's the one. He's the man. He's the warlord. He's the one in charge. I think he's just going to advance up 5. I think he's just going to go up 5. And I think he's just going to back people up. So he's going to go up to here. These guys will move up. He'll take his banner along with him. And that will be it. That's going to be an advance. Oh, by the way, so these archers and different things, if you advance, you could still shoot. If you run, you can't shoot after a run, right? So that's important to know with the archers as well. If you just take if you take instead of a run order, if you take where is it? If you take a fire order, you get +1 to your archery or to your ranged attack. If you take a fire order, but if you take a run order, you can't shoot. If you take advance, you can still shoot. And ranges have an effect too, like long ranges do. So we'll go over the units real quick. All of these null units have moved up to start to try to bang down the doors to the church. Right? You have the archers here. They're getting ready. They see the knights. We have Imor over here. He's kind of ducking behind a tree to see if he's going to go right or left. Ignar is going to get into something to rip some faces. And we have these another warrior unit on this side. Coming over here, we have, it's just a quick recap. We have Gosset. Sir Gosset's here. On the far left flank, we have Yeoman Odo and his longbowmen. We have Earl Guilford and his crew thundering on his way. Sir Cratch thundering his way, and his crew is thundering to glory and honor. We have Yeoman Utha's spearmen in a column. Father Abuzio in the middle to prepare spells and help the units as needed. Yeoman Hod and his 5-man glaive unit here. And we have Sir Hodwish bringing up the right flank with his knights. And over here, we have the scout, an old scout coming in. He took a pin from sprinting with his hyenas. His savage hyenas are on their way. They're not too far away. Round 2 is going to get bloody. It's going to get ugly. I can't wait. It's going to be great. I can't wait to start rolling some dice. See you in round 2.